If you're a founder stuck at 6 figures, you probably tried more courses, mastermind, productivity hacks, strategies that you can count to get to 7 figures, but nothing is quite working. Why? Well, it's not a lack of talent, hard work, or ambition. It's something deeper. It's a lack of consistent execution. And I'm about to show you why you have one good day for every 3 bad days and why your results reflect that inconsistency. I'm also going to show you an advanced skill that most founders never train that makes all the difference. Once you master this, everything will be exponentially easier. You will become sharper, smarter, and eventually impossible to derail. That skill is called meta execution. And if you don't master it, your business will eventually plateau. But once you master it, you will have every goal you want achieved exactly the way you want it. I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered. I've worked with hundreds of 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs. And what I've realized is that the difference between founders who scale and founders who stall and eventually burn out is not strategy, it's always execution. It's the ability to execute consistently under pressure at a high level. Most founders execute like they're playing whack-a-mole, but elite founders, those who always win, execute like surgeons, precise, present, and consistently optimizing. That difference is meta execution. If you're like most entrepreneurs, you think execution is about willpower. Get focused, show up, follow the plan, and grind it out. But that is the average performer's logic. That really is pure survival mode. Elite performers don't just blindly follow a plan. They improve the plan in real time while they're executing it. They're never stuck in fixed mental loops. Instead, they're tracking those loops to get better over time. They adapt, they accelerate, they rewire without ever breaking rhythm. That is the core skill of meta execution. And Kobe said it best. It's not about how many hours you practice, it's how much present you are in those hours. That's precisely what meta execution trains. Your ability to stay present in motion, noticing friction, adapting and optimizing while you execute, rather than just grinding and hoping for consistency. Think about it this way. When you don't do this, if you're like most founders, you're like a driver who only checks GPS at the beginning of the trip. Elite founders are constantly monitoring the route, traffic patterns, and making micro adjustments in real time. Same destination, but a totally different journey. And that leads to different results. And there's 3 levels to this. Level 1 is what I call unconscious execution. You follow the plan blindly and you just hope it works. This is like what most people do. Level 2 is conscious execution. You notice when things go wrong, but you don't really know how to adjust. Level 3 is meta execution. You monitor your execution and optimize on the fly. Elite founders live in level 3. And that changes everything, because instead of waiting until the end of the week to realize you got distracted, you catch drift in the moment. Instead of repeating the same mistakes, you build feedback loops that automatically correct your course. Without meta execution, you're doomed, because you may create the most beautiful 12-week plans, but they're always going to be derailed by week 2. The root problem is always knowing what to do and not being able to do it consistently, and thinking the solution is a better plan. No, it's fixing your execution system. It's learning how to get better at what you're doing in real time. And at neurological level, this is what is happening in your brain. Every time you execute poorly, you're just not losing a day. You're strengthening the neural pathways that keep you stuck. That procrastination, it gets stronger. Your overthinking, it becomes your default. Your inconsistency, it becomes your identity. And it has a very bad compounding effect, because if you're operating at 30% capacity due to poor execution, and you do that for a year, you literally train your brain to accept mediocrity as normal. You make inconsistency your comfort zone. And the part that hurts the most is that you start to believe you're not capable of elite performance, when anyone is, when trained with the right system. And meta execution is the core skill that makes execution easy. The cost of not actually training it is the missed opportunities that go by because you weren't present. That is why so many founders get stuck and they can't grow beyond 10, 20, even 30K a month. It's because they have an execution ceiling that is capping their revenue ceiling. And until they upgrade their execution system, they'll keep hitting the same walls. And meta execution is that real separator. And I define it as self-awareness that is weaponized, because you pair it with real-time optimization. You notice the resistance before it becomes burnout. You don't just notice what's wrong, you build feedback loops that help you correct it in real time. That is how you do it. This is the meta skill that transformed how you operate in real time. That is how some elite founders can scale 7-figure businesses working 5 hours a day. Well, pretty much everybody else who follows productivity advice is stuck working 12 hours every day. Because it's never about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it better. The real science behind this is training something called metacognition, which is the ability to observe your thoughts and behaviors in motion. That is how elite athletes recover from mistakes mid-play, or how Navy SEALs adjust under fire. That is how elite founders scale without losing their minds. It's the mental system that they can use to rewire their response to what needs to be done in real time. The key is that you have to train this deliberately. It never happens automatically. So here's how I teach my clients how to do it. Step 1 is pattern recognition. It's noticing when you're starting to drift or lose focus or do the thing the wrong way. Step 2 is to mentally analyze what is the root cause. What is causing that drift? Is it fear? Is it overwhelm? Unclear priorities? What is it? Then step 3 is real-time adjustment. You implement a micro correction without breaking your flow. And finally, step 4 is system optimization. You update your process to prevent the same drift in the future. And you do this in a minute. This is a mental skill. And once you get good at this, your business will change, I promise. Here's a story about one of my clients. Let's call him David, who was procrastinating on outreach for weeks, and he kept pushing through willpower, telling himself just needed to get more discipline. But after 2 to 3 weeks, he was literally in the same loop. So I teach him meta execution, and he started asking the right question. He asked, what is the real friction here? And he identified the real friction, which was a fear of rejection because his offer wasn't good enough. So we changed the offer. We rewrote the script. We added KPIs to track his process. We even created a ritual for him to go into every call in the right state. And that was about a couple months ago. Now he's booked 20 new calls with qualified prospect. Here is how meta execution works. You get better as you do the thing. You catch mistakes and optimize on the fly. But this is just not something you decide to start doing. It requires deliberate training. Just like you wouldn't expect to play the piano without practice, you can't expect to execute at an elite level without training your execution awareness. The question then is, how can I develop this skill? Well, if you hit a ceiling in your business, it's not information you need. It's execution awareness that needs rewiring. And it starts with a decoding session with us, which is a one-on-one session in which we're going to go deep into what is sabotaging your performance, to really understand the patterns that's slowing you down, and then installing a protocol that lets you scale with control, clarity, and consistency. This is what every elite founder does in order to get where they want to go. It's always about upgrading your operating system, so everything you do works better, more consistently, more efficiently, more predictably. That is the core telltale signs of an elite performer. So if you're tired of inconsistency and you really want to scale with precision, we have to rebuild the execution system from the ground up. And that requires rewiring your brain and actually designing systems that let you get what you want consistently. Because the truth is, your brain is either working for you or against you. It depends on the pattern you're currently entertaining. You have 2 paths. You keep executing unconsciously, hoping that your effort will translate into results, or you develop meta execution and you start making consistent leaps towards your goals. Those are the 2 paths available to you, and I highly encourage you to get good at meta execution. Your future self is waiting for you to make this shift, because otherwise that future self will never happen. See you on the call.